Hey, quick question, guys. What movie scene do you think of when you hear this specific noise? Welcome back. This is our 20th episode, which means we have a little education, a little topic deep dive, if you will. This week, I'm talking all things sci-fi horror on my horror channel, which could possibly be exactly where you're listening to this. So, today's episode is going to loosely correspond to that theme. Today, we are diving into the Wilhelm Scream, its origins, uses, and some funny things that come along with it. So, today we are jumping right into it. Give the pod a 5-star rating wherever you are, a thumbs up, whatever, wherever. Check out the Get Weird podcast on Instagram, and heckle me to post more. Okay, let's jump in. This is one of the most recognizable sound effects in film history. A sound effect that once you notice it, you literally cannot stop hearing it everywhere. The Wilhelm Scream. It's the over-dramatic, over-the-top yell. It's appeared in hundreds, honestly, probably thousands of movies, TV shows, cartoons, video games, and horror movies. It's become this weird little cinematic tradition. Some filmmakers use it as a tribute to the old Hollywood sound design, while others throw it in almost like an inside joke for movie nerds. And the wild thing is, most people have heard it dozens of times without ever realizing it. So, today we are going to get into where it came from, how it accidentally became legendary, and why filmmakers keep using it, and whether people are finally getting tired of hearing it. So what is the Wilhelm Scream if somehow you've never heard it before? The Wilhelm Scream is that very specific stock scream effect, usually used when someone falls, gets shot, gets thrown from an explosion, or dies in a very dramatic way. You've probably heard it in Star Wars, Indiana Jones, Poltergeist, Lord of the Rings, Scream, Toy Story, Reservoir Dogs, Kill Bill, Batman Returns, and so many other greats. It's basically cinema's most known Easter egg. The scream itself sounds exaggerated and kind of cartoonish now. It really adds to the charm, but where did it come from? The origins go back all the way to the early 1950s. The scream was first recorded for the 1951 movie Distant Drums, a Western adventure film, and in one scene, a soldier gets dragged underwater, get this, by an alligator. And the editors needed a dramatic scream for that specific moment. The original recording became part of Warner Brothers' stock sound library. At the time, nobody thought this scream would be iconic. It was just another reusable sound effect sitting in an archive. But years later, sound designers started reusing it in other films. The scream got its actual name from the 1953 Western The Charge at Feather River. In the movie, there's a character named Private Wilhelm who gets shot in the leg with an arrow and lets out the scream. That scene has become a reference point, and eventually the sound effect inherited the name the Wilhelm Scream. And for years, the scream was just floating around Hollywood unnoticed. But then came legendary sound designer Ben Burtt. Ben Burtt is basically a god-tier sound designer, okay? He worked specifically on Star Wars, Indiana Jones, and E.T., but also countless other iconic films. And while working on Star Wars, he rediscovered the scream in the Warner Brothers archives. But instead of treating it like a random stock sound, he started intentionally sneaking it into movies. And that's what really transformed it from an old sound effect into a film nerd tradition. Burtt and his friends would hide the scream in movies almost like a secret handshake between sound designers. And once Star Wars used it, the scream exploded into pop culture immortality. Horror filmmakers especially love The Scream, partly because horror already thrives on exaggerated sound design, but there's also something funny about it. In serious horror movies, when hearing the Wilhelm scream, it can almost feel surreal because your brain was like, wait, I know that scream, and it kind of breaks the fourth wall for people who clue in, and that's why some love it and some hate it. It can be a little distracting once you've heard it. Now, this is where things get interesting. For decades, the Wilhelm scream was this fun little hidden detail for movie nerds, but most people can now recognize it, and on one hand, it's a really cool piece of film history. It connects modern movies to old Hollywood sound design in this weird chain across decades, but on the other hand, it becomes so recognizable that sometimes, like I said, it can feel distracting, especially in a serious horror movie where the mood is so intense. Like, imagine somebody getting launched through a window during a terrifying scene and suddenly you hear the scream. Okay, it completely changes the tone. Imagine the beheading, the decapitation scene from The Omen, when there's like 9 different shots and camera angles of this head coming off, and every time you're hearing the scream 9 different times, would make you so like, what's happening? Like, this is a comedy. This became a comedy, you know? Like, at this point, it's become something bigger than the original recording because it represents practical filmmaking history, analog sound design, movie traditions, inside jokes between filmmakers, and it really does bring nostalgia. And I think there's something kind of beautiful about the random scream recorded over 70 years ago, and it's still surviving in the modern media. Especially now when so much sound design is hyper digital, polished. The scream feels human, it feels messy, it feels like instinctual almost, a little goofy, and maybe that's why people still love it. Some modern filmmakers have intentionally stopped using the scream because it's too recognizable. It has appeared in video games, like I said, video games, cartoons, theme park rides, even animated kids movies. So like, this thing that started as a random stock sound effect for a guy getting attacked by an alligator, it's somehow evolved into one of the longest running traditions in movie history, which is kind of incredible. It's one of those filmmaking details that reveals how connected cinema truly is across generations and genres. One scream, decades of movies, and thousands of deaths. And now that I've talked about it for this long, you're probably going to hear it everywhere, forever. So, the next time you're watching a horror movie or an action movie or some random sci-fi from the 80s especially, listen carefully, because the odds are somebody is about to. And let me know, do you still love hearing the sound? Do you notice it? Or has it officially become too distracting for you 70 years later? I genuinely would love to know where everybody stands on this. I am Alex, my husband, for all intents and purposes. We are currently engaged, but it just feels weird to say fiance. He's an audio guy. He went to school for audio tech. Like, he was on the radio. There's so much that he knows about audio. So I kind of wanted to take something that he would be familiar with, an audio, snippet, something audio wise, and turn it into an episode. So I really hope that you enjoyed this one today. And in saying all of that, thank you so much for being here and for listening for 20 whole weeks, guys. Thank you so much. I love you. I'll talk to you in the next video. Sayonara, suckers.